Hello and welcome to Top 10. My name's EJ Moreno and this is a show that compiles my personal pop culture picks. This week's episode is all about the 10 best movies to watch on Halloween. For this list, there is no real criteria. Most of the movies will be horror films and most of them will be set on Halloween, but other than that, they're really going to vary in style. You will have everything from family-friendly movies to some insane graphic horror films, and that's what I really love about Halloween time. Watching scary movies on Halloween is a tradition that a lot of us share. Either we did it when we were little kids after we went trick-or-treating, we were stuffing our face with candy, we would watch a really good scary movie, or we would do it when we were a little bit older after a Halloween party, we wanted to wind down, you watch something scary with a couple of friends, or when you're older and don't want to do either one of those things, you watch them all day because that's the best thing in the world. So I really wanted to share my personal picks for this, but please remember these are my choices, so if you don't agree with anything on this list, please let me know your feelings down in the comments below. One of the common themes that most of these films on this list share is they're all really fun. While I love some depraved, sick, and twisted horror movies, on Halloween night is really the one time I want to have a big nasty grin on my face and have a great time watching some movies. So really you're going to see a lot of these are fun and really not too twisted. There might be one or two of those slipped in. So without any further ado, here are my honorable mentions. The first honorable mention on my list is Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters would rank higher if I actually enjoyed this movie. It isn't really my cup of tea. Honestly, I think it's more of a comedy movie than horror. It just kind of just takes a vacation in the horror genre to get a couple laughs while, Bill Murray was kind of doing that a lot, just testing out in different genres. And he did his test in horror, and it's not really my thing, but a lot of people love this movie, and hey, if it's on TV and you want to watch it on Halloween night, it's not a bad choice. The next honorable mention on my list is Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead is like eating the very best Halloween candy. It's so bad for you, but it's oh so delicious. Pumpkinhead is a late 80s creature feature, and what's better on Halloween night than a really great creature movie? The last honorable mention is Idle Hands. This movie is great if you're craving some really cheesy 90s horror. Yes, this does dip into comedy, like I said, something like Ghostbusters does, but I really think Idle Hands loves the horror genre way more than Ghostbusters did.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Kicking things off at number 10 on this list is the Halloween classic, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
This is probably the most wholesome Halloween movie of all time. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown is a tradition every October 31st for multiple decades. This 1966 animated special holds a really special place in so many of our hearts. Charlie Brown holiday shows are usually great. Usually, come on, they have an Arbor Day movie, but for many, It's the Great Pumpkin is their favorite. For me, Halloween doesn't get better than seeing Sally and Linus wait in the pumpkin patch for the Great Pumpkin. It's just so adorable to see, and this movie really warms my heart, and if I had to pick any Charlie Brown movie ever, I'm gonna pick It's the Great Pumpkin. I don't want to see that really depressing Thanksgiving story. The Christmas one, no. It's all about the Great Pumpkin, and it's just so fun to watch. Switching from family-friendly to completely disgusting, number 9 on my list is House of a Thousand Corpses. Rob Zombie's first film is everything I love in a horror film. While it may not be for everybody, I honestly promise you this is a great time. It's shocking, offensive, and oh so fun. Set on Halloween night, it's perfect for the occasion. It works well watching it by yourself or in a group of friends. The Firefly family from House of a Thousand Corpses is so depraved they make the Mansons look like the Addams family. I can't believe the things Rob Zombie gets away with in this movie. It shocks me, and it's hard to shock me. I've seen some crazy things, but did I expect Rainn Wilson from The Office to be turned into a half-fish man? No, did not. Did I think to hear, "Run, rabbit, run," for the rest of my life in my head whenever I'm scared in a field? No, I did not, but Rob Zombie did that. I just love what this movie does, and this is the kind of horror that I'm into. If you're not into House of a Thousand Corpses, you might like The Devil's Rejects, which is a far more sophisticated version of this movie. Still from Rob Zombie, still about the same family. While it's not on Halloween, actually it might be on November 1st. It counts. Maybe check out The Devil's Rejects, but honestly for Halloween time, The House of a Thousand Corpses is perfect. Director Ed Wood would love to see his film on any top 10 list, so coming in at number 8 is Plan 9 from Outer Space. Plan 9 is a cheeky and low-budget horror film made by the infamous director Ed Wood. You can find this on so many worst movies of all time lists. It has so many iconic moments, some of which made it into the Ed Wood biopic starring Johnny Depp, but you cannot ignore the impact this movie had on film. Plan 9 from Outer Space is not a good movie, but hey, if you like some cheesy movies or can tolerate the worst of the worst, you have to check this out. Honestly, get some friends. It really can turn into a Mystery Science Theater type viewing. That's what this movie is made for. That's why Mystery Science Theater is there for movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space. So hey, maybe pop that in with a couple friends, eat some Halloween candy, and this is the perfect film for you. Number 7 on my list is a zombie movie that's cheesy, gross, and such a great time. It's Return of the Living Dead.
The Return of the Living Dead.
I debated putting Night of the Living Dead on here. George Romero's zombie film is such a classic, but this is the kind of zombie movie that is a great choice for Halloween. Return of the Living Dead is so 80s that it hurts, and you have to enjoy a punk rock zombie movie. Return of the Living Dead takes that cheesy goriness that was in Evil Dead and placed it in the Night of the Living Dead universe. Zombie movies rarely get a treatment like this, and hey, even punk rock doesn't get the treatment in horror that it deserves, so it's really fun to see those two worlds together. There's some iconic zombie moments talking about brains and how much it hurts if you don't eat the brains. I love this movie. I love the sequels. If you aren't going to watch Return of the Living Dead, I also suggest maybe Return of the Living Dead Part 3. A great movie, maybe a little romance. That's what that movie provides. So if you have a date, I say put on Return of the Living Dead Part 3. If you're by yourself or with a group of friends, I say Return of the Living Dead Part 1. Just barely missing the top 5, number 6 is Nightmare Before Christmas.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
There's a debate between some if this is truly a Halloween film or does it share too much with Christmas. I lean towards this being a Christmas movie, but the Halloween influence is undeniable. Before Jack Skellington was the Hot Topic mascot, he was a Halloween mascot for some. The Pumpkin King is awesome, and I really love what Nightmare Before Christmas does with blending both Christmas and Halloween time. Like I said, I do think it leans more towards Christmas, but the Halloween vibes in this film are so fun. It has such a fun beginning that honestly, the opening song of this alone, called This Is Halloween, is great. It is Halloween to me. Every time I think of Halloween, this is Halloween. Oh, I don't want to get copyright. That pops in my head, and it's just so fun to watch. It's a good film for the family. It's a good film if you're older. It's a good film if you're an emo girl going through middle school and you want something to watch. Watch this movie. You're gonna relate to Sally. Wait for that. All kidding aside, Nightmare Before Christmas is a fun movie. While I don't think it's top 5 material, I think it's a great movie to watch on Halloween. Strap on some heels and do the time warp. Number 5 on my list is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This is one of the few films on my list that has nothing to do with Halloween. It's not set on Halloween. It's almost barely a horror film. But what gets better than the Rocky Horror Picture Show? This is one of the few films on my list that has nothing to do with Halloween. It's barely a horror film, but you can't get better than Tim Curry strutting around in the best outfits of all time. I love the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think it's a great piece of cinema. I think it's important to everything we love because there's no musicals like it, there's no horror movies like it, there's no performances like it. This is classic. It is perfect. They do this on endless loops still. They still play this on theaters that people perform and do numbers with, throw popcorn at the screen. It's great. You have to watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's going to be playing on some TV station somewhere, but no, don't experience it like that. Go to a theater. I know if you live in California or Orlando, usually Halloween Horror Nights has performances at the Rocky Horror Picture Show. If not, grab some friends, throw some outfits on, and perform this yourself. If my soft spot for family-friendly horror wasn't apparent, number 4 on my list is the 80s film Monster Squad.
The Monster Squad.
3 words for you. Wolfman's got nards. I love Monster Squad. This movie is perfect for me. I think this may be one of the few films created by Shane Black that has nothing to do with Christmas. That's how special the Monster Squad is. This takes everything you love about the Universal horror movie monsters and updates it for the 1980s. It's really cool to see those classic iconic villains from the 1930s make it all the way to the 80s and play such a scary role in a movie. Though Stephen King homaged them in his novel It really didn't make it to the screen in both versions of the screen adaptations of It, so I take this as like a love letter to It. I take this as a love letter to Stephen King, which they make obvious in the movie. Honestly, please go check out The Monster Squad. It is a fun movie. It is super adorable. It's, I think, maybe the last family-friendly movie on this list. Maybe. We'll see what's next. Okay, one last family-friendly horror movie, and number 3 on my list is Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
For me, this witchy camp classic is a Halloween must. Within recent years, that nostalgia seemed to go mainstream, but I still take this as something that I grew up with and something I will never forget for Halloween time. Maybe it's the little gay boy in me, but you can't beat Bette Midler as a witch on Halloween time, yelling at a 13-year-old douchebag virgin. I love Hocus Pocus. Everything about this is great. It has some great makeup, it has some great moments. Penny Marshall and Gary Marshall play husband and wife and their brother and sister. There's a little bit of cringe factor there. Everything is great. It's so 90s it kind of hurts. Like Monster Squad was so 80s it hurts. It really is so funny to see that Hocus Pocus hasn't aged well, but it's so great. So great that we don't want to see a remake that's coming out, Disney. If you can hear this, if someone from Disney anywhere can see this, we don't want it. We just want to live with the beautiful movie that Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker gave us, because them as the Sanderson sisters will never be replaced. Number 2 on my list is a horror movie that has a special place in my Halloween heart, and it is Trick or Treat. This 2008 film is one of the few horror projects that I really think enjoys, loves, and respects Halloween time. Yes, I love Rob Zombie's Halloween movie. Yes, I like this newer recent film called Tales of Halloween, but nothing is as good as Trick or Treat. I'm gonna make a bold statement and say I think Trick or Treat is the greatest anthology horror film of all time. Each one of the stories is great. The fact that they connect together with the adorable Sam, there's nothing better than this. I have a great time watching Trick or Treat every time I see it. So much so that it took me a while to try to even like Krampus. Trick or Treat is something that I didn't expect everyone to love, but anyone who's ever seen this movie likes it just a little bit. It ranges from people who love this movie like myself to people who just enjoy it, but there's no one who really hates this movie. And if you hate this movie, you hate Halloween, and that's a bad thing. I did not put this movie as my number 1 slasher of all time, so if I did not put it on the Halloween time list, it would be a travesty to so many people. So coming in at number 1, it's Halloween. John Carpenter's 1978 classic slasher movie is a great movie for Halloween, not just because it's called Halloween, but it has everything you would love in a Halloween movie. It has thrills, chills, and so much in between. Jamie Lee Curtis delivers a performance of a lifetime as Laurie Strode in this film. You really relate to her as a babysitter on Halloween, and you're so terrified along the whole way, and it gives you such a feeling that you're there. While I want you to have fun on Halloween, nothing is more fun than getting scared by John Carpenter and Michael Myers. Michael Myers is such a great villain, has some really great scares, and he honestly adds a creepy factor to every Halloween time. Every time you see a Michael Myers mask around this time of year, you always get a little creeped out thinking, what if that's the real Michael? I know it's a made-up movie, but that's what Halloween does. It really adds something to this time of year. It's perfect for it, and like I said with Trick or Treat, if you don't like this movie, you just hate Halloween and you're not a great person. Thank you so much for checking out this week's Top 10. It really means a lot to me. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. If you are subscribed, turn on notifications. And honestly, for me, most importantly, leave me a comment down below what you thought of the video. Also, give me your top 10 list for your best Halloween films.